Thank you, Claire. And thank you for hosting, Claire and Charles and Rory and the KII team and the developers of Casspa and all of you from all over the world. And like Claire said, don't take me too seriously. It's always funny, after all those years, I see that in introductions, like years ago, they introduced me like Paul has 10 years of experience, and then after a while it was that Paul has 20 years of experience, and now it's 45 years of experience. So I guess that all of you will think, well, this is really an old guy. Is he still able to have a useful speech? I will try. So. If you fall asleep, don't let us know too much. Let me. Well, first of all, we are here all today to listen to speakers like the developers and the KII team on Casspa Industrial Initiative, which is, I think, something that could create a paradigm shift in the industry. And that's also something we want to highlight, to give an idea like what can this Casspa do in its applications. What it is, first of all, and what can it do? What is the added value? Is it really an added value, or is it only a fancy thing which will go away, like we have seen so many examples in the industry? So about my background, you have told already a big story about West Asia and Africa and so on. I worked all of my life in the energy sector, in different functions, energy power generation and transportation and storage and demand side and energy trading and so on and so forth. And about 25 years ago, I started working in the energy transitions, like renewable energy, or what we call it today, climate neutral energy. Not only renewable energy, it can also be fossil energy where you capture the carbon, or nuclear energy, which is at the end of the day also climate neutral in principle. So I work in the last 15 years in basically from Dubai to develop new markets of renewable energy or climate neutral energy in desert areas, because deserts have abundant amounts of energy. And 15 years ago when we started, it was very expensive, like the technology and everything. And today it's the cheapest energy you can get. And when I was approached by Rory, I know him already for quite some years because he is also a supporter of what we do in this DII, in this desert environment. He came a couple of months ago to me and said, we want to see if with Casspa we can do something similar like what you did 15 years ago, to look like there is a new technology, a new approach to offer this to the industry and to see how the industry can take it, how we can create a market for this. And I felt very honored by that and said immediately yes. And after this yes, you start thinking like, oh, geez, what did I do? And now I'm standing here in front of you. So I'm not very uncommon with blockchain as such, but I'm not a specialist, not at all. And you will notice this when the real specialists come, this is quite a different ball game. But I had my first real experience with blockchain technology was with Bitcoin in 2013, where a friend of mine gave me a physical Bitcoin. It was minted in those days. There were, and some of you may remember that in the first Bitcoin, some of them were really minted. So you can have a coin. And they gave it to me, and it was at that moment about 100 euros price in the market. And he said, Paul, listen, this will get a very high value. So your first reaction is like, they all claim always like, this will become value, and many of these very promising things disappear, and after a while you don't hear about it. But today, as you know, it's like 57,000 euros. So it's a good investment. And I always kept it. My wife, when it went over 1,000, my wife says, sell this immediately. I said, oh, wow, why should I do that? And for me, it's not about money. And I think for most of you, for professionals, it is about learning and getting exposed. It draws you into a new world. And that's also what we see with Cassper. Of course, no one here in this room can predict what will happen with Cassper in the coming 200 years or 2,000 years. We don't know. But if you really look at Cassper, is a very, very strong concept because it builds on what already is a very strong concept, Bitcoin. And it is an improvement of that. So they said, wow, can hardly be better. If you have a very strong foundation and you are proving that you can improve this, that it gets at a new level. So that brings you to the question, actually, what is blockchain at all? And if you look this from an information point of view, it's something about information. It is a robust alternative to traditional information handling. So it's a very simple thing. We have all kind of information handling, information structures, and software around it and everything. And this blockchain is a robust alternative by enhancing security, transparency, efficiency, and last but not least, that is very crucial, very important point, trust. Because the Bitcoin principle offers, if you do this right, like with proof of work, 100% trust. You know for sure that this is from source to sink completely integer, because you cannot fraud it. And this blockchain technology, from an information point of view, if you do this right, it will reduce costs. You can avoid a lot of nonsense cost around. If you have all kind of software and mod protocols and it doesn't fit well together, you have to build conversions and everything, connections, that cost more money and you make failures and errors. And that's not the case with the blockchain, because it's one simple system, that's all, that's it. That's all the cost also, is what you see, is what you get. And also it avoids the need of intermediaries, because it's one chain from A to Z, and you don't need all kind of intermediaries. So this is a very important principle. If you talk about Cassper, about KII, the industry, if they start using this Cassper, will want to see this security, enhanced transparency to efficiency and trust and lower costs and no intermediaries. If you can show that this happens, they will take it. It's very simple. They're very rational. If you can prove that, first of all, it is an improvement of this Bitcoin or this blockchain as such, and also if you can prove that it really is an upgrade of all information handling mechanisms, then the industry will embrace this. And I'm quite sure that this is going to happen. You only have to prove it. It will only happen if you prove it. And then about Cassper, and I asked for one sheet only. I hope that we are able to get the sheet on the, and that's a very nice sheet for me to learn about the history of the. And many of you may know this diagram. It says like when this is start with Bitcoin, blockchain or crypto technologies only 50 years ago, where there was first ideas about cryptographics, decentralization, this idea of structuring information in a way that is more secure, more safe, and scalable, and all that. It's 50 years ago, and you see a lot of, and I don't want to mention some of the speakers who may do this. A lot happened until you get to the famous 2009 with the launch of Bitcoin. It was a bit an obscure time. All of a sudden, there was Bitcoin. And then a couple of years, like 2018 or something, or even a bit shy, and Michael and so will tell, this Bitcoin was launched. And then after a couple of years, they started to think about this block deck or a ghost deck approach. And then we got to Cassper, where we are here today. And Cassper, of course, will not be the end of the whole future. There will be developments, of course. But this may be today also, and to expose the industry with this technology, may be a paradigm shift, a very important time. And we may even witness this as a historic time. that the industry will, from all the time before, knowing about it, trying out, but not really successful. It's not really, until today, really integrated in industrial processes. That is going to happen with Cassper. Then if you see the applications of Cassper, or applications of Bitcoin, about cryptos in general, that can be in different industries, different sectors, like the financial sector, very famous, and supply chain management, digital identity, like blockchain-based identity solutions, smart contracts, gaming and non-fungible tokens, NFTs. Those are very famous application area. Healthcare, voting systems, decentralized autonomous organization, DAO. You heard a lot of speaking about that. Energy trading, and I'm also exposed to that from my trading background. Insurance, intellectual property and copyright protection, and so on and so forth. So that gives you a flavor, like the areas in which cryptos are being used a little bit, and where we expect that if you come with improved concepts, security, scalability, energy use, and so on, that this will go faster and will take over actually from traditional information processing mechanisms. Yeah, then you come to zoom in on Cassper, and I know that we have two kinds of speakers here. One about what is this Cassper. They go a deep dive on what it really is. Technology, very smart. This is very smart, so smart that I do not completely understand it, but I wait for the book of Chai. He promised to finalize this book, that I will immediately read it and try to really understand, because today I have a feeling like a little bit I understand, but not really. And then we also have Rory and Bara and others to talk about KII. Rory will give a very broad view, like what are we going to do with this Cassper Industrial Initiative. I will give a little bit of flavor. So this Cassper, first of all, what we see, I also said that we will revolutionize the industry in the sense of faster, cheaper, more secure, and scalable in industrial processes, like I mentioned the whole list of the different sectors. And that is also very similar to what I have gone through several times. Like I said, I talked about this DII 15 years ago. We had more or less done the same thing. And I did not even mention that 25 years ago, I founded EFET, the European Federation of Energy Traders. And it was also something similar. It was a time that there was no open market for energy trading. And there were no concepts and no technologies, and it was archaic. And we really, until today, the EFET, it's called today Energy Traders Europe, is the largest trade organization worldwide on electricity, gas, and other energy carriers, including renewable energy certificates and carbon certificates. And we want to make use of these kind of processes to get the industry excited for this. And that's a very important thing. It is in the energy sector, we have shown that we can make this. We can like introduce renewable energy, which was very expensive at the beginning, where everyone said it will never happen. We have enough oil and gas, and we don't need all this crap with windmills and solar panels. What a nonsense. Until today, where solar energy is the cheapest way of producing electricity, by far the cheapest. It's in solar, like in Dubai, it's 1 or 2 cents per kilowatt hour, and it's some more. And also wind today is very very cheap, and other sources. So we will do the same with Cassper actually, to make this cheaper and cheaper, more effective. Show all the applications that it works, and then say, here, look what a difference did make. And many people will claim first, it will never happen, this is crazy. There is another guy, this old guy, how old is he? 71? He's a crazy guy. But it will happen. Okay. And also, we are Caspar, KII is only a way to change the market. We are a market enabler, so to say. So there is a non-existing market today. The industry has not yet heard about Caspar, but we will enable this Caspar to integrate to offer these solutions in the industry. So what we want is actually to become the default solution in the industry, Caspar. And if it's not Caspar, then it's an improvement of Caspar. It's a Caspar 2.0 or something like that. That's you could say that's our dream today. And if we will be invited the next time here in Eden 1, we want to say our dream in 2024 is coming true. Yeah. We also, it's about and that is really fancy language for speeches. It is solving the blockchain trilemma. You have probably heard about the blockchain trilemma. You know what a dilemma is. That you have two ways. A trilemma is three aspects that you have to consider. It is about the scalability, security, and decentralization. It's normally with technology, it's difficult to combine this. If you are very decentralized, it's very difficult to be secure. Or if you want to be very secure, it's very difficult to scale and so on. And this Caspar is able to combine scalability with security and decentralization. And on top of that, also lower energy use. And because of lower energy use, it's a contribution to emission reduction. Lower energy, less. It's even better than that. They organized this specially because it's a sign that we have to overcome all difficulties always. Yeah? It is also the nice thing with the Caspar, the mining of Caspar, for instance, it can be based completely on renewable energy, solar. You can do this in time that the energy is very cheap, or is there overcapacity? Like if you are somewhere in an area where there is more solar energy, electricity production, then there is an oversupply, and then you can use this, and sometimes you can even pay it because if you have negative prices. So all these issues are coming together. It is also about energy as such. I talk about energy. You need energy to mine Caspar, to make it work, and so on, to keep the machine running. But energy is more than only that. It's also the security factor. It secures that everything will be done in the right way through the concept of proof of work. You can make, and the concept of using this energy, you can prove that this whole chain is secure. And you need energy for that. So energy will be a basic part, and Rory will talk a lot about this energy because this will all be the key to tokenization and to capture a whole market of like a gigawatt coin, something like that. Yeah, and actually, by the way, this idea of this gigawatt coin that Rory is coming up was already an idea that was discussed 20 years ago in EFET, the European Federation of Energy Traders, not in the sense of a coin, but in the sense of, as a trader said, listen, we trade across Europe, for instance, from country to country, and we have to pay through banks and convert money in those days, a lot of money, and there's a lot of cost related to this, and sometimes it even creates problems, like the delay time, but also even errors, failures in the system. And they said, why don't all the traders create some kind of a common basis, like a coin, a megawatt coin? Then they don't need the markets. They can clear this among them. There's no money. Only the differential will be then a sort of money. At the end of the day, it could be some money exchange, but that's only a very small part. If we would have had the Caspar 20 years ago, for sure we would have taken this Caspar. So these are the examples. So it's energy is about value creation. And Caspar is also, with that, taking a role in industry transformation. So from the industry that we have until today, with all this information and a lot of costs, to a new, more clean and lean and sophisticated industry. So we believe that this Caspar will lead to a new kind of industry, a more efficient industry, and what you said, cutting edge technology. And it is accessible in principle to all industries. This is not something only for the energy sector or the financial sector. This is in principle for all industrial sector, and that makes it very, very interesting. So I think with this, I come also a little bit on the sustainability issue. We have about, today, among others, one person, and a good old friend from me, this Mo, he's sitting there, Mo Al-Nahi, and he came a while ago to me, and there is also another guy with similar idea. Mo said we want to collect all carbon credits in the world from the bottom up, small amounts, not the big companies. So small enterprises, small producers of carbon credits, to collect this and then internationally find users, buyers. And then we said this would be an ideal thing for testing this out with Caspar. Yeah, because new ideas, new technology can make the change much faster. And Rory will talk about this, and Mo as well. And we can do the same thing in renewable energy and in other senses. So then this Caspar industrial initiative will take these kinds of first pilots as examples to test it out. And if this works, then we want to set up a whole chain of industry applications. So we want to connect to the industry and set up pilot projects and work together with the developers and everyone. And we will want to build more or less a sort of ecosystem of the developers and the industry and all kind of professionals around this. So it is, at the end of the day, this KII is a matter of cooperation, partnership, connecting people, connecting companies, connecting countries, connecting continents. So at the end of the day, this is a global thing. This is not something only about Europe. So I would say, ending with my introduction, what we also, in this sense, as KII, as a new institution, we want to set up an advisory board. And we will also want to tie up with or to interface with regulators. This whole thing, integrating this Caspar into the industry, should be done in a compliant way. So it's very important to have the link to regulators, to avoid all kind of regulatory fuss, what we have seen with other examples in the market. So I would say with all these initiatives and with the perspectives and the ideas which we will then elaborate in the speeches that we will hear now, I would make a call of action actually to all of us. If we like this idea of Caspar, we like the idea to bring Caspar into the field, into the industry, then let's go for it and really fight for it. And if people come and tell you this will not happen or it is impossible, then you know, or we should know, especially after the speeches that we will hear, it is possible and we are going to make it happen. Thank you.